Okay, I got it. Hey, guys.
Hey.
What? It's my mom. My mom couldn't have kids. She told me once that all she wanted was to have 8 kids and live on a farm and raise them, but she couldn't. So she adopted me and my brother and lived in Grand Prairie, Texas, and taught 7th grade. My parents always told me I was adopted, so it was never a shock. My mom didn't have a baby, so she went someplace to get a baby. Totally makes sense. That's our family. I was super excited, but I know I didn't like that turtleneck. So I understood the concept of adoption. Like, we don't have this thing, we go to the store and get this thing. Like, I was from a baby store. Got it. Babies R Us would have been a good name for it, but it was taken. We got our groceries from a store, our TV from a store. Why not me and my brother Matt? Okay. I was fine with it until I was 10 years old. And we visited neighbors, and a woman was breastfeeding. I don't know if you know what breastfeeding is, but a baby was drinking from her boob. Boobs were never on the menu at my house. It's super weird. It's real weird. If any of you put your mouth on your mom's boob, that's fucked up. I asked her some questions, and she explained, well, the baby was her daughter, and she came out of her, and now she's feeding it. What are you talking about? And I asked a few more questions, and she said, go ask your mom. And that's how I learned not everyone is adopted. So I didn't mind being adopted until I found out it was basically just me. Which is fucked up. And being adopted isn't the same for everyone, but it bugs me. Like, who am I from? Have I ever accidentally met her? Does she know, but I don't know? Will I encounter her and just feel something and be drawn to her? I've never looked into eyes that were my eyes, and I have no idea whose cute nose I have. That's the real goddamn tragedy. I hate it because I feel alien, and I feel apart from my primal family unit, and I've never met a person I share DNA with. And Muppets in Space is not a great movie, but when Gonzo's people came down from his planet to get him, I cried, and I cried, and I just saw that movie last summer. I feel a hole inside. I feel a gap, and I've tried to fill it. And I have great parents, obviously. Apparently I'm 70 years old, but these are but I'm just not like them. I'm not like my dad or my mom or my brother. Like, for example, my brother loves to hunt and fish, just like my dad. They buy camouflage and guns together. That's my dad. And they spend long weekends in deer blinds drinking beer and shooting Bambi. I'm sober. I don't like bugs or the outdoors in general. I don't enjoy air. I like air conditioning. I'm also an extremely avid, on-again, off-again, sometimes vegetarian. And my mom is like quiet and sweet, and if you're sick, she'll make a pot of soup and bring it to your home. I'm a comedian. I'm literally a professional smartass. And for a short time, I performed as a character named Cunty Cunterson. Like, we're not the same. This is what I do. And my mom taught kids to read. So we're not the same. And my brother never even asked about being adopted. He doesn't even think twice about it. But sometimes being adopted comes in handy. Like, my granny, my mom's mom, was a real weight-obsessed bitch. The technical term I now know is anorexic chain smoker. But back then we just said bitch and we weren't wrong. She constantly commented on my weight and my mom's weight, even though we looked fine. I mean, Garfield, my hair is the exact same. That's crazy. I don't usually oh, that's embarrassing. Okay, anyway. She constantly commented on our weight, even though we looked fine. When I was 8, my granny suggested I make a girdle out of an old tire. One summer day, she sat in our kitchen, and the walls all yellow paint and plywood. It was the 1970s in Grand Prairie, Texas, and it was hot. And we were at the table with red checkered tablecloth, and a giant wooden spoon hung helpless on the wall. And she stared at me and croaked out, "You know, when I was your age, I got myself in shape for boys. I made a girdle out of an inner tube. Then all the boys liked me. That's what you should do." What am I supposed to say to that? I stared at her age spots as her bony hands delivered her filtered cigarette to her mouth over and over, and her spiky shoulders and saggy boobs poked out the front and back of her velour top. Little wrinkles racing toward the linoleum floor, and this is the woman who's counseling me about my relationship. Like, this woman's making me feel bad? And I wish I could tell you that it didn't bother me, but it did. It's so easy to zap the self-esteem of a child. I was being told that no man would love me, and I was 8. I could live to be 88, and that's a long time of being alone. I'd already been abandoned by my birth mother. I couldn't risk losing more love. So I didn't make a tire girdle or duct tape corset or any other hillbilly apparatus. But to make myself acceptable to mankind, at 10 years old, I went on a crash diet. Hot on the heels of 9-to-5 success. It was called the Dolly Parton diet. Also, and heretofore known as the cabbage soup diet, because you get to eat all the cabbage soup you want. All you want. Yay. Otherwise, on day 1 you eat fruit, and on day 2 you eat vegetables, and on day 3 it's fruit and vegetables. Oh my God, it was horrible. And day 4 was like bananas and milk, and there was like beef and tomatoes, and I forget day 6, and I blacked them out from self-hatred. But the diet worked, and I lost 10 pounds, 1 for each precious year of my life. My granny was thrilled to finally have a thin granddaughter. Dreams do come true. Now I could get attention from guys. Weird attention from guys. Like from strangers at the public pool and from some of my older brother's friends. It made me self-conscious. I didn't love my smaller body. I was afraid of it. But I liked the attention and I needed love. I went on to probably gain and lose that 10 pounds like 100 times since then. Tumbled out of bed and stumbled to the kitchen. Indeed. Thank you. It's a 9-to-5. It's a very popular song. I'm with you on this. Moby Dick, I got it. All right. What's awful to realize looking back is that people already did like me. I was a precocious kid. I had a big red dick. I was other precocious. I could just I was smart and stuff. And I was cute and funny, and I already got attention from guys. But once I was told that guys didn't like me, I couldn't even see how great I was anymore. And that's how strippers are made, by the way, or food addicts, or serial killers, or comedians. I've done so much to fill this void of adoption and food and abandonment, to feel fulfilled, and I kept doing stuff that I thought would make me happy, and I thought if I was happy the weight would fall off, and I thought if the weight fell off, then I'd be loved completely. I've been super religious, and I've been super slutty. Sometimes at the same time. Who's been on a church choir trip? What? I starred in a TV show, and I wrote on TV shows, and I'm just going to give you my resume. And I sold them, and I got married, and I got divorced, and I drank for 2 decades, and I stopped for 7 years, and I meditated, and I went to India, and I learned puja and Sanskrit, and I taught meditation, and I went to Bali. I purified myself in a holy temple and became a raw food chef. I've had therapy, and I got a job. I even went on a quest for my birth mother, which resulted only in me finding out that my name is supposed to be Ginger. How different everything would be. I can't imagine a Ginger is like neurotic and weird. She'd just be like, yeah, well, I'm not going on a crash that. What do you agree? Apparently, I inherited my mom's allergies to dust, but not her allergy to strawberries. My birth mother was a music major and lived in a dorm when she had me. I have a birth aunt and birth uncle who are performers, or were, at least at the time of my birth. All I know about my birth father is that he had brown eyes and wanted me to be aborted. Pro-choice is all fun and games until they're talking about you. Then it's like, well, I kind of see their side. I see the other side. Get it? All this information came from a de-identified file. When you look for a birth parent, there are options. A file costs this, joining the adoption registry is that. It's a succulent, who the fuck am I menu. So after I filled out the forms and paid the money and signed up for the Adoption Registry of Texas, and I wrote a letter to my birth mother to be given to her when she joins the Adoption Registry, and I had counseling sessions, all required to have this formal birth mother search. After several months, I was told, we found her, but she hasn't responded positively or negatively. She hasn't said yes or no. It happens a few times a year. We're really sorry, but we have to give up the search. But we will refund half of your search fee. So I didn't get my birth mother, but I did get $125 back. I was like, couldn't they give me the address? Or like, maybe I could drive by a few thousand times. And like, is she on Facebook? Like, is there something? And they're just like, no, legally, blah, 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 blah. So all the stuff I've done to fill the hole, nothing's worked. Okay, there was one time in my life where I felt complete and everything made sense for a little while. When I was in college, Roseanne was hugely popular and I was a big fan. I went to UT Austin and I was walking to my West Campus dorm reading an article about her in the school newspaper, and it said that Roseanne had given up a baby for adoption years before and was looking for her. But the National Enquirer had found the girl first, and she happened to be a college student at UT. I was a college student at UT. The girl was a sophomore. I was a sophomore. She lived in a dorm in West Campus. Oh my fucking God! Roseanne was racing to get to the girl before the Enquirer. She was on her way to UT. And suddenly my whole life made sense. This is why I didn't connect to the quiet people who adopted me. I'm outgoing and they're not. I'm funny and they're not. But Roseanne is big and loud and I'm big and loud. Mystery solved. I'm from the loins of Roseanne Barr. And that's why I love her, and that's why I get her, because I fucking am her. I've been watching my own mother on TV, and deep down I've known for years that I am Roseanne's daughter. Everything fucking makes sense, and she's on her way to get me. I'm about to meet my mother, goddamn Roseanne. Right? It's not crazy. I scanned the paper and then it said blah blah blah. Roseanne had given up her baby to a Jewish a Jewish adoption center in Utah. I didn't know a lot, but I knew it was from Hope Cottage in Dallas, and that's that. My deepest desire to connect with my birth mother was squashed. For a moment, someone who left me behind was coming to scoop me back up, to hold me and look in my eyes, and for the first time, I'd look into the eyes that were my eyes, and I'd hug someone whose body runs with the same blood in my body, and I'd be reflected, and I'd feel whole. Plus, it was Roseanne, so I'd be rich as fuck. So in my whole life, my hole was filled for like 2 seconds. And you know what? Maybe that's the best I'm gonna fucking get. In fact, fuck it. maybe it can't be healed, and I'll always just feel a hole inside and an incompletion. And maybe I'm supposed to have a hole inside, and maybe it's good, and trying to fill it has propelled me through life and given me good experience. It's what sent me to Norway and India and got me good grades and fat paychecks and had me making out with tons of guys, tons. So, yeah, maybe this hole is awesome. I mean a lot of guys. 2 girls. So even though I'll never feel whole, I guess I can love my hole. Fuck yeah, I can love my hole. Love my hole. I love my hole. Love my hole. Love my hole. Oh, really? Am I gonna say that? Thanks, you guys.